It was a quiet Tuesday morning in March 2025. Deep within the Pentagon, a classified briefing was underway. It was a single slide in a PowerPoint presentation, displaying data from a recent NATO exercise in the Arctic, codenamed Polar Vengeance. The slide showed the sortie rates of various Allied aircraft. The F-35s performed as expected. The F-16s were reliable workhorses. But one column of data caused a ripple of unease through the room of colonels and senior analysts. The Swedish Air Force's Saab JAS-39 Gripen E fighters were generating sorties at a rate nearly 3 times that of their American counterparts, operating from a dispersed, frozen highway strip. This wasn't just good performance. It was a logistical miracle that defied conventional U.S. air power doctrine. The data point was a stark numerical representation of a threat the Pentagon had underestimated for years. It was not the threat of a peer adversary's high-end, stealthy superfighter. Instead, it was the threat of a nimble, cost-effective, and dangerously efficient aircraft that could be anywhere and everywhere, all at once. The Gripen wasn't designed to win a one-on-one dogfight with an F-22 Raptor. It was designed to win a war of attrition. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Logistics, economics. The central question was no longer theoretical. How could a small, Swedish-made jet pose a strategic challenge to the world's most powerful air force? This single incident was not an anomaly. It was the culmination of years of quiet development, strategic export deals, and a fundamentally different philosophy of air combat. The Gripen represents a doctrine of dispersal high operational tempo and networked warfare that directly counters the American model of large, expensive, and centralized air assets. It was the dawning realization that while America was busy building the perfect weapon, Saab had built the perfect tool for the modern battlefield. The Gripen didn't just perform well in an exercise, it exposed a deep, systemic vulnerability in the very foundation of Western air power strategy, a vulnerability rooted in cost, complexity, and a reliance on perfect conditions. The Saab JAS-39 Gripen is a light, single-engine, multi-role fighter manufactured by the Swedish aerospace and defense company Saab AB. The name Gripen, Swedish for Griffin, hints at its dual nature, powerful on land and powerful in the air. The JAS in its designation stands for Jakt, meaning fighter, attack, Spaning, meaning reconnaissance. Born from Sweden's long-standing policy of neutrality and self-reliance, the Gripen was conceived during the Cold War to provide a robust defense against a potential Soviet invasion. The core requirement was demanding. It had to be capable of operating from dispersed, short-damaged runways like civilian highways, with minimal ground crew and support equipment. This unique operational philosophy is baked into the Gripen's DNA. To understand the Gripen's strategic impact, one must look at the hard data. The numbers reveal a story of deliberate trade-offs and focused capabilities. The Gripen E can reach a top speed of Mach 2, approximately 1,530 miles per hour, and has a combat range of around 800 miles, which is comparable to a Block 70 F-16. However, its true strength lies not in raw performance, but in operational metrics. A key figure that alarmed Pentagon planners is its sortie rate. As demonstrated in exercises like Polar Vengeance, the Gripen E can reliably generate 3 to 4 sorties per day, per aircraft. In contrast, the F-35, due to its complexity and maintenance needs, often struggles to achieve more than 1 sortie per day in high-tempo operations, a fact documented in various Government Accountability Office reports. The Gripen's cost per flight hour is a game-changer. Saab and various independent analyses, including a 2012 Janes report, place the Gripen's operational cost at as low as $4,700 per hour. The F-16 costs around $22,000 per hour to fly, while the F-35's cost is a staggering $44,000 per hour. This means a nation could fly and train with a fleet of 9 Gripens for the same hourly cost as a single F-35, creating a vast disparity in pilot proficiency and airframe availability. The Gripen that first flew in the 1980s is not the Gripen that worries military planners today. The leap from the earlier C and D model to the new E and F variant is not merely an upgrade. It is a fundamental re-engineering of the aircraft. This transformation is what propelled the Gripen from a capable regional defender into a genuine strategic spoiler. The most significant change is the new power plant. The Gripen E is fitted with a General Electric F414G engine, the same family of engine used in the FA-18 Super Hornet. This provides 22,000 pounds of thrust, a 20% increase over the previous Volvo RM12 engine, allowing for supercruise capability, the ability to fly at supersonic speeds without using an afterburner, conserving vast amounts of fuel and extending time on station. The true power of the Gripen E lies not in the aircraft itself, but in its ability to function as a node in a wider network. This concept, known as network-centric warfare, has been championed by the US military for decades, but the Gripen platform may be one of its most effective real-world applications. Every Gripen E is equipped with a state-of-the-art data link, high bandwidth and jam-resistant. This system allows a formation of Gripens to share vast amounts of sensor data in real time, effectively fusing their individual radars, IRSTs, electronic warfare sensors into a single, cohesive intelligence picture. With the Gripen's data link, only one aircraft needs to emit with its radar, while receiving the full radar picture from the emitting aircraft. They can even launch a missile, like the Meteor, and have the illuminating aircraft guide it to the target, as 3 of the 4 fighters are effectively invisible from an electronic standpoint. The Gripen's strategic relevance is amplified by its growing success in the international market. Unlike the F-35 sold mainly to close US allies, the Gripen has been exported widely. Sweden, Brazil, Czech Republic, Hungary, South Africa, Thailand. This proliferation means a network-enabled fighter is no longer confined to NATO's north. Now a factor in South America, Central Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, creating challenges for US interests across multiple theaters. The Brazil deal is key. In 2014, Brazil chose the Gripen EF over the FA-18 Super Hornet and the Rafale for its FX-2 fighter program. The deal included a substantial technology transfer, allowing Embraer to co-develop and manufacture locally. Brazil is not just a customer, it is a production partner. The Gripen's unique combination of features creates specific tactical scenarios deeply problematic for a force like the US military. One scenario: defense of a contested island chain, Baltic Sea, South China Sea. An adversary with Gripens could quickly disperse squadrons to small makeshift airstrips on multiple islands. From those spots, they could generate a high volume of sorties, creating a dense, persistent A280 bubble. That distributed defense would saturate US ISR assets and dilute any initial strike package's effectiveness. While the US starts a multi-day deployment of F-35s and their logistical tail, a Gripen ally could surge dozens of fighters in hours. Operating from highways near the front network to regional radars, Gripens could establish local air superiority before heavy American assets arrive. That creates a dangerous presence gap where a smaller, more agile force could seize the initiative and possibly achieve a fait accompli. The rise of the Gripen doesn't just showcase the strengths of the Swedish fighter. It casts a harsh spotlight on several systemic weaknesses within the US military-industrial complex and its force structure. The F-16V, the modern successor to the original low-cost fighter, now comes with a price tag approaching that of a Gripen, The F-35 was intended to be the affordable backbone of the fleet, but remains incredibly expensive to operate. The U.S. currently lacks a modern, affordable, lightweight fighter that can be procured in large numbers to fill capacity gaps. Advanced fighters like the F-35 and F-22 require a massive logistical footprint. They need pristine, climate-controlled hangars, highly specialized technicians, and a global supply chain for spare parts that is both complex and fragile. A 2025 GAO report, GAO-25-301SP, noted that mission-capable rates for the F-35 fleet remain stubbornly below the target of 80%, often due to parts shortages and maintenance backlogs. The Gripen, designed to be maintained by conscripts on a frozen highway, exposes this dependency on large, vulnerable main operating bases as a critical Achilles heel. In a peer conflict, these bases would be the first targets, potentially grounding the U.S. air fleet before it can even get into the fight. The Gripen also highlights a potential presence gap in U.S. global force posture. The high cost of deploying and sustaining these squadrons means they cannot be everywhere at once. A nation operating Gripens can create a powerful defensive posture relatively cheaply, challenging U.S. freedom of maneuver in a given region. The U.S. system, governed by labyrinthine regulations and testing requirements, can take years to field similar updates. By the time we field a countermeasure to a new threat, our adversaries have already moved on to the next two. The Gripen's design philosophy allows it to evolve at the speed of software, while America's top fighters are often trapped by the slow pace of hardware and bureaucracy, creating a dangerous innovation gap. The strategic challenge posed by the Saab Gripen is not hypothetical. It is an evolving reality. For defense planners, policymakers, military observers, understanding its trajectory is crucial for anticipating the future of air combat. The situation is not static. Monitoring a few key indicators will show how this challenge matures over the coming years. Focus on sales, upgrades, joint exercises. These track Gripen's growing influence and its impact on the global military balance. These three areas are the primary barometers of its strategic weight. First, watch future export sales. Gripen is a finalist in several high-stakes international fighter competitions. A win in the Philippines would put the Gripen in the heart of the South China Sea dispute. A sale to Colombia would raise military sophistication in South America, most critical, Ukraine. If Ukraine picks the Gripen E, it would be the ultimate combat test for dispersed, high-tempo operations. Gripen performance in Ukrainian hands against Russia's air defense network would yield definitive real-world data and could reshape the fighter market for a generation. The alarm bells that rang softly that day were not about the Gripen's speed or its radar range, impressive as they may be. They were about what those numbers represented in a real-world conflict scenario. They represented the ability of a smaller nation to generate overwhelming combat power in a specific region, faster than the U.S. could respond. It meant that in a crisis, be it in the Baltics, the South China Sea, or anywhere else, a fleet of Gripens could establish local air superiority before the first F-35 even arrived on station. This was the moment the Pentagon flinched, not at the sight of a fearsome new weapon, but at a simple bar chart that proved its long-held assumptions were dangerously out of date. Yeah, it's sorta clever. Right.